podcast focused on trends shaping the future of manufacturing. I'm Alexandria Burek, your host, here with A.W. Schultz, two thought leaders with a passion for people and manufacturing. Today and every episode, we are diving deep into the advancements, sustainable practices, and dynamic changes transforming how we produce everything.
And now welcome Alexandria Burek and A.W. Schultz.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Factory of the Future. Today we have a very special episode and one that is uniquely different from all of the rest. AW is going to bring us a presentation that he recently did at an academic conference. So we're going to get a sneak preview on his dissertation, and you'll find that throughout the time I'll interject and maybe ask some questions about how he sees this human-centric approach playing into the world of manufacturing and, of course, the factory of the future. So, AW, thank you so much for bringing this presentation to us today on the show. I am excited to be the first audience member and host along with you on this.
Yeah, well, thanks, Alexandria, for letting me take the time to share this presentation. It's something I've been putting a lot of time into, and it's still just at the early stages of my research. But during this conference, it had a lot of chatter around it, and I think it's only going to be something that's going to come forward as being something that others are going to be talking about in the near future. And as you remember, I talk a lot about Industrial 5.0, which is the idea that human centricity and how people are bringing forth how manufacturing practices are going to change in the future. So with that, I'm going to do my presentation, and feel free to interject as we go along. And as a listener and a viewer, if you have more questions about this at the end, please feel free to reach out to us, and I'd be happy to explain it further.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, AW. Let's get the show on the road here, huh?
Imagine you're walking into a factory. It's 1784. Then again, you walk in, it's 1870. Again, it's 1969. And finally, you're walking in today. In each era, someone would loudly proclaim, "This is the future of manufacturing." Yet across all these industrial revolutions, we kept missing something critical: the human element. Today, as we stand at the thresholds of Industrial 5.0, we are finally just asking, how can humans serve the industry? But how can the industry serve the human needs? And that's where self-determination theory comes in. My name's A.W. Schultz, and I'm here to present my problem of practice on human centricity in the manufacturing today. This is part of our next evolution of Industrial 5.0. Now, this aligns between humans and machines. And what we're going to explore is a crisis facing U.S. manufacturing, particularly the rapid labor shortages. These shortages are part due to a new generation lifestyles in the workforce and the shifts in the demographics of individuals performing these jobs. Additionally, we'll examine how self-determination theory can be applied to address these issues within this community. I want you to meet someone. This is Sarah, a manufacturing manager at a factory that just invested millions in automation. Like many factories, they've installed the latest robots, AI systems, smart sensors, everything Industrial 4.0 promised would revolutionize their production. But 6 months in, something wasn't working. Despite all the new technology, productivity was dropping. Employee turnover was rising. During a particular frustrating afternoon, Sarah watched as one of our most experienced operators, Jim, stood aside while a collaborative robot struggled with a task Jim could do in his sleep. That's when Sarah had asked and had an awakening. The factory had focused so much on implementing new technology that it had forgotten its most valuable assets, its people. It needed to shift its thinking from how can technology replace human work to how technology enhances human capabilities. Over the next year, Sarah led a transformation that put people at the center. Instead of imposing new technology, they involved operators like Jim in the decision-making process for implementing it and its changes. They created opportunities for employees to develop new skills and take on more meaningful roles. The results? Not only did particularly improve, but employee engagement soared. Sarah's story represents the journey many manufacturing facilities are taking today. The shift from Industrial 4.0, a technology-first approach, to Industrial 5.0, a human-centric vision. And that's what we're here today to talk about. I've been working in the manufacturing community for over 2 decades, all over the United States and Canada. And each time I enter these struggling factories, the problems are always the same. People are not treated like they matter. These struggles I witness daily aren't random. They're a cumulative of choices made across 2 centuries of industrial evolution, where each industrial revolution brought technical leaps. They also fundamentally shifted how we value human contributions in manufacturing. To understand today's challenges, we need to trace back on how we systematically stripped away workers' autonomy, creativity, and connection through each industrial era. We first take a look at Industrial 1.0. Now, this happened around the late 1700s, 1800s. And this was involved the mechanisms that brought about the creation of power through energy, steam, and coal. This was also a time of labor scarcity. And it resulted in the advancement in textiles, one of the first manufacturing systems there was. We moved to the late 1800s, Industrial 2.0. This was contributed a lot to the advancements in electricity, mass productions, the assembly lines, advancements in communication over hundreds of miles. Move forward to the 1970s, Industrial 3.0. The advancements of supercomputers. Workers gained some of these technical competencies. The initial automations and computers, the creation of circuit boards. And then we go into an industry that most of us have been a part of or been around since then. In the 2010s, Industrial 4.0. Smart automation, Internet of Things, the ability to take big data, put it in the cloud, bring it down, run algorithms, maximize efficiencies. Maximizing technical skills and building on top of the skills and technologies we already had today. But as we're looking at is an evolution, and it's called Industrial 5.0, the human-machine collaboration. Industrial 5.0 represents the next phase in the Industrial Revolution, focusing on integration and collaboration between humans and advanced technologies. This paradigm shift emphasizes human-centric approaches, sustainability, customization, building upon the foundations laid by Industrial 4.0. This evolution aligns perfectly with the self-determination theory. You think of autonomy. Workers make decisions about how to use technology. In this theory, it talks about competencies, focus on upskilling and mastering new technology, and relatedness, emphasize teamwork and human connections. In the present view, the human-machine collaboration is, unlike Industrial 4.0, which primarily focused on automation, digitization, Industrial 5.0 prioritizes synergy between humans and machines. This calibration aims to enhance human capabilities rather than replace them, fostering more balanced and efficient industrial environments. It also has customization and flexibility. Industrial 5.0 enables the creation of highly customized products catering to individual preferences and needs. This is achieved through advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and the Internet of Things, all brought to us by Industrial 4.0. Sustainability. A significant focus of Industrial 5.0 is sustainable manufacturing practices. This includes optimizing energy consumption, reducing waste, promoting environmental friendly production methods. And last is that human-centric design. The new industrial paradigm places a strong emphasis on human well-being, skill development, and ethical consideration. This approach ensures that technological advancements benefit today as a whole. These key differences, Industrial 4.0 asks, how can technology replace humans? While Industrial 5.0 asks, how can technology enhance human capabilities? This is where self-determination theory becomes critical. In Autonomy 5.0, operators help design how robots assist their work. In 5.0 Incompetencies, continuous learning and skill development. In 5.0 Relatedness, technical facilities, better human collaboration. For example, in 5.0 Factory, instead of a robot replacing a skilled welder, the welder uses cobots, a collaboration of robots and humans, as tools to maintain control over quality, and teaches others while developing new skills. This satisfies all three of the self-determination theory's needs while advancing manufacturing capabilities. So I ask yourself, if you've ever been part of an organization, it doesn't need to be in manufacturing. It doesn't need to be part of Industry 4.0 and 5.0. But have you ever been in situations that you feel like just following, that you're in a position that you're just following others rather than making meaningful decisions? Do you often feel opportunities to master new skills or technologies but aren't given the chances? Is there no clear path to professional growth or advancements? Or has leadership remained distant and unapproachable? If you've answered yes to any of these questions, this is a call to action of where self-determination theory can help in your organization. The future of manufacturing isn't just about smarter machines, it's about smarter leadership. And here's what you can do starting tomorrow. First, be a bridge builder, not just a tech implementer. Create spaces where your operators can openly share their extensive learnings about new technology and how it could best support their work. Remember, your frontline workers have insights that even the most sophisticated AIs can't match. Second, invest in your people as heavily as you do technology. For every dollar you spend on automation, allocate resources for skill development. Your workforce isn't looking to be replaced by technology. They're looking to master it. And finally, take the lead in your facilities transformation. Form a cross-functional team that brings together tech experts and experienced operators. Start small. Pick one process where human-machine collaboration could immediately impact. Document your success and challenges. Share your learnings. The manufacturing sector needs 2 million workers in the next decade. But more importantly, it needs leaders who understand the Industrial 5.0 isn't about choosing between human expertise and technological advancements. It's about creating an environment that both can thrive together. Will you be one of those leaders? The future of human-centric manufacturing starts with your decision. Let me leave you with one last thought. In 1784, the first industrial revolution gave us machines. In the up to the 1870s, we got assembly lines. In the 1970s, we had computers. And in 2010s, we connected everything through the cloud and the Internet of Things. But today, in 2025, we are finally asking the right questions. Not just how can we make manufacturing more efficient, but how can we make it more human? The 2 million worker shortage we're facing isn't a number. It's a call to transform how we think about manufacturing. Every empty position represents an opportunity to create a workplace where technology and humanity don't just coexist, they elevate each other. We have the power to be part of this transformation, whether you're managing a factory floor or designing new systems. remember that the most advanced technology in the world is still just a tool. It's the human element, the creativity, the expertise, and the connection that turns those tools into solutions. The future of manufacturing is about choosing between human expertise and technological advancements. It's about creating an environment where both thrive together. The future starts with the next decision. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
That was awesome, AW. Thank you for sharing that. I couldn't possibly interrupt you. Your delivery on that and the story was too compelling, and the flow was too good for me to interrupt. But there was a couple of things that I took away from that. I also would love to share this with some of the folks in my organization, because we've recently had a lot of town halls, and the town halls were different from all the rest of them in the past that I've ever sat through under current leadership and even past leadership. There was a sense of understanding that people are critical to our business. It was more emphasized than I've ever heard it. So I'm honestly very optimistic about the presence and understanding and warm embrace of Industry 5.0 at the business that I'm in and the industry that I'm in. So if you want to share that presentation, or if we can, maybe I'll forward the podcast or something like that. But that would be kind of cool. The other thing I think about when you talk about the human element. So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the guy was talking about essentialism, which I've come to realize, like, I'm a big fan of essentialism. I don't know if you're familiar with the term. Are you? Okay.
No.
So the easiest way, most high level way to describe it is thinking about what's absolutely necessary. What is the most impactful thing that you can do kind of each day, each month, each whatever. And then how do you do it as effortless as possible? So how do you distill that down to the most simplistic system that allows you to do that most important, impactful thing of your day? So it's like eliminating waste and doing all these other things. One of the things that he talked about on that podcast was using ChatGPT to kind of like play the role of a therapist. And I thought about that, right? Because I've started going to therapy again. And I was like, but there's just something like I am very good. I love using ChatGPT to help kind of brainstorm and reflect and learn and do all these other things. But as I was thinking about using it in place of my therapist, it was the human element that was missing for me. And I knew that right then and there. And I couldn't possibly, there was something in me that said, no, I absolutely still need my therapist, because I need that human element, the human to tell me the things, even if ChatGPT could tell. So I think that kind of just underlines and emphasizes kind of the idea behind your presentation and, everything that self-determination theory stands for. Do you have any recommendations, like how any maybe of our listeners would bring this to their leadership teams? Like, how do you think would be the best way to bridge, to bring this up and say, have you heard of this? So, I've been sharing Industry 5.0 with everybody since we started the podcast, but what do you think for the listeners? Like, do you have any recommendations there?
I like that question, by the way. And when you're asking it, I started to think to myself, when have I ever been in a situation where we were given all the technology and we were expected to let it run? And by the way, this is around the 2010s, Industrial 4.0. And I've had multiple examples where they throw the technology in there. They were able to check the box. Yes, all the teams went through the trainings, explained it, but it didn't take off. And if you're an organization and you're running below capabilities, you've got advanced technologies. So when I say advanced technology, I'm talking about it's nothing too elementary, but there's automation, there's cloud computing,
Yep.
There's
Workflows,
data,
blah, 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 blah.
yeah, all that out there. And if it's not being utilized, this is where Industrial 5.0 is here to correct what Industrial 4.0 couldn't do.
I'm going to share a story recently that just is exactly that, real life, in the last week. So I designed in partnership with the end users, automation and workflow to basically consider where a trailer is, what the maintenance needs are, and then communicate that in live fashion to the person who would need to do that, right? So our trailers travel throughout the country. They're on various schedules, and it's a time-based schedule, right? So when the trailer, but people don't always know what trailers are coming in. There's area fleet managers are running 6-7 different sites. They can't possibly know every trailer that's coming in and look at what maintenance is needed in a manual way. They would spend all day doing that, right? That just one thing. And they've got 100 other things to do. So design this technology, this workflow to consider both scenarios, the GPS location, the maintenance schedule, email workflow directly to the team. How many of those things do you think were actioned?
Were happening?
Were actioned. The one, like, they're getting the notification, hey, your trailer landed here. Please do this annual inspection.
Well, I think you set me up for it. It's going to be pretty low, right?
Yeah. So then what did I do? I said, send them all to me in addition to the people that are getting them. And now I'm going to forward the email and say, hey, it's me. I did this. Did you do this? And like, what is going on here? And I said, well, you guys haven't been using the technology, so I'm now going to be following up with you. And now all of a sudden, everybody is going to start using it because they don't want to have to answer to me. I think there's less accountability to a technology system, but there's an accountability to a person that can't be replaced. That's the takeaway that I got out of that. Same thing we're doing for different workflows there, but it's like, and I think that's the underlying message and the takeaway to leaders is that is it making it easier for me as the human to send the email? Hey, can you get this done? Let me know why you can't. Yes. But without me doing that, there's no accountability back to me, even though I spent, a year designing that system and developing it to make their lives easier and make it more easier to accomplish the expectations.
Yeah.
So I think that's the human-centric approach in real life right there.
You know what, you say that, and I think a lot of organizations, somebody comes in and the first thing they would do is an assessment. And that's the last thing they want because they know some of the answers already. Like, yeah, I know I'm not using my technology as it's meant to, but I just don't have time to fix it. Mm-hmm. So, okay, well, guess what? I'm going to tell you the first thing you need to do. Use what it was made to do. Mm-hmm. And if it's not made to do it, it's not working, get rid of it. Does it bring value? Don't use it, get rid of it, but make sure everybody knows we're not using it.
Yeah. And that was another thing I was working on in the last week as well with the same system. So I was come to find out there's just multiple little tiny issues with this particular process, and it's creating friction. It's creating a kind of a repulsion on the end user, right? Like, it's been a fight. Like, I feel like every week I'm getting into the boxing ring to get these people to do this particular task, and they just keep ahhing me, and then next week still no change, blah blah blah. So I've been really diving into the root cause behind these things and trying to resolve the back end issues, right? And as I was looking at a particular table, like a form that we have to fill out whenever we bring a new person on the team, and our inputs on that form directly relate to all of these back end workflows. And I'm looking at this, I'm like, this is all out of sorts all of a sudden. Like, the things that we need to put in aren't required. There's a bunch of stuff we don't need to put in. So I really just spent the whole day recalibrating that entire form and that entire table set of data. And I'm really excited about the way that's going to translate. So again, that's another way that you can kind of, you need the human element. Like, the technology will run, but you need people thinking about all these other things and connecting the dots that technology can't. So, I think that was a great presentation, and I hope the audience really enjoyed that today. I think I've said all I have to say on this topic, at least for today. Do you have anything that comes to mind before we close out?
I do actually. So this is part of my dissertation is one in the research aspect of it. So what you're seeing right now is a lot of the research that I've pulled together from other organizations and what the studies have shown. One of the next things I have to do is actually a study on it. And one of my call to action is if anybody out there has a manufacturing facility that would be interested in partaking in a study on this, I'm looking for companies that have automation. You don't have to be great. You don't. It doesn't say I'm not going to come back and critique you on what you're doing right or wrong as far as Industrial 4 or 5.0, but I'm seeking to understand how does your leadership and management interact with your employees as far as engaging them on what you have and what is out there. And there's another area that my mentor had talked to me about, and she had mentioned when I was talking about this research is like, you may want to also interview people that were in manufacturing that have left and why. And I've been asking myself, well, how do I find these people? And that's something I guess I'd like to use this podcast or this moment to bring out is if anybody out there is in manufacturing has left, I'd be ecstatic to ask you just a couple questions of what was your driving force? Was it the environment you worked in? Was it your manager that you had? Was it the lifestyle that you had to live? Was it the location? And I'd like to bring this forward, and certainly all this research is going to be published in a couple of years to come. But if you can reach out to us, you can see us on our notes at the end. And there's more to come on this. We'll be sharing it out as we go, and this kind of leads into a lot of our discussions as we go forward on the factory of the future.
Sweet. I might have somebody off the top of my mind who I think is very aligned with what you're talking about and might be on the forefront of kind of this human-centric approach. So we might continue that conversation offline, but yes, definitely. I hope the audience definitely reaches out to AW. I'd personally be so interested to hear about his research as time goes on. So please you can do that just one thing, and then that's serving as an agent of change in the world. By just simply participating in his research, you are shaping the factory of the future. So please support AW and his research and help him.
Yeah, great catch there, Alexander. And with that, I think we're checking out here like finished goods.
We're clocking out.
This is Factory of the Future, and we are out of here like finished goods. Stay tuned for our next episode of Factory of the Future, where we're exploring groundbreaking techniques and behaviors that are reshaping industrial landscapes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review and help others discover the cutting-edge insights transforming manufacturing as we know it.